Morning and welcome to the Nassau County Board of County Commissioners meeting for Wednesday, May 20th, 2026 at 9 a.m. Please stand with me as Mr. Irvin Gilliard gives our invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, as always, we're just so thankful for you, for blessing us to be here this morning in this commissioners meeting. And as always, we ask that you just continue to keep them in your prayers, lead and guide them and their families, keep them safe. For those that support them through the county manager's office and the county attorney's office. And we're just so thankful for our responders that be on the scene for dangers they may see, dangers they don't see. Continue to bless this county, especially as we approach our storm season. We just ask that you just keep us safe from the storms. These and all blessings we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Hutman.
Here.
Commissioner Gray.
Here.
Commissioner Farmer.
Here.
Commissioner Martin.
Here.
Chair McCullough.
Here. Mr. Pope, do you have any expansions or deletions to the agenda?
Not this morning, ma'am, thank you.
Madam Attorney?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. That will take us to proclamations and resolutions. Tab A, approve a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, recognizing Mr. Raymond Cruz on his retirement from the Nassau County Fire Rescue.
Madam Chair, I move to approve tab A.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Hutman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. And Mr. Cruz is here, and Chief Rigdon will all come to the back. This is a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, for the retirement of Mr. Raymond Cruz on July 1st, 2026. Whereas Raymond Cruz began his employment with the Nassau County on May 6, 1997 as a firefighter paramedic. And whereas Mr. Raymond Cruz was promoted to position of engineer May 23rd, 1998, and stayed in that position until November 4th, 2000, when he was promoted again to the position of lieutenant. And whereas Raymond Cruz served the citizens of Nassau County as a lieutenant until he announced his retirement effective July 1st, 2026. And whereas Mr. Raymond Cruz has consistently given his all for the employees and the residents of Nassau County, and he has reflected great credit upon the Board of County Commissioners. And whereas Mr. Raymond Cruz will be greatly missed by those who had the pleasure of working with him, as well as the citizens of Nassau County that he worked so hard to protect. Now therefore be it proclaimed this 20th day of May 2026 by the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, as follows. Number one, the board publicly commends Mr. Raymond Cruz for his outstanding service and dedication to the citizens of Nassau County. Number two, the board, on behalf of all of the citizens of Nassau County, extend our sincerest appreciation to you for all you have done to make this a great county. And number three, the board hereby extends our congratulations to you on your retirement, and I express my best wishes for your continued happiness, success, and health in the many years to come. And look, I made it through and I didn't even cry. So this is attested to me by me, Allison McCullough, and our attorney, Miss May, and I truly thank you for your lifetime of service. And oh, come on, if I've got to do it. I do. We truly thank you for your lifetime of service. Chief, you want to say a couple things?
I'll just say Lieutenant Cruz is that dedicated
very well respected lieutenant there. He's at Station 60 in Briceville, and he's looked up to and respected by both his peers and his subordinates as well. And Battalion Chief Castile has worked with him a lot longer than I have, and he's going to say just a few words.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Lieutenant Cruz has always been a pleasure to work with. He knows how to be funny at times around the fire station, and he knows how to absolutely navigate that minefield at times of being a friend but a leader. When I show up on scenes, Lieutenant Cruz is there. The situation's usually well under control by the time I get there, and it's directly because of Lieutenant Cruz applying his years of experience to the call. It doesn't matter what the call is, he was always able to handle it. And he's become a good friend over the years, and me and him will enjoy some good fishing time together.
All right.
That will take us to presentations. The time limit is 15 minutes. Tab B, presentation of certificate to Mr. Thomas Ford, Fire Inspector Investigator with the Nassau County Fire Rescue Department, recognizing him as Nassau County's Employee of the Quarter.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Tina Catter, Human Resources Manager. As all of y'all are aware anyway, in 2022, the Board of County Commissioners launched an initiative to establish both customer care standards and the Employee Recognition Program. As part of that effort, the Employee of the Quarter program was created to recognize employees who exemplify the values reflected in those standards. Employees are nominated by their coworkers for demonstrating these values in their daily work. The nominations are then reviewed and voted on by previous Employee of the Quarters. And for the quarter of 2026, we're pleased to report that we received 5 nominations, and the committee selected Mr. Thomas Ford, Fire Inspector, as that recipient. At this time, I'm going to hand it over to Chief Rigdon, who will introduce Mr. Ford.
Good morning again.
Good
Morning, sir.
Mr. Ford is obviously no stranger to any of you here after sitting in your seat for a term. Notably, this submission was not submitted by me or a department head or supervisor. It was submitted by his fellow fire inspector, Mr. Rodney Clark, who's here in the background. Raise your hand, Rodney, just so everybody sees you. Thomas has a heart for public service, from leaving his time as a commissioner to jumping in as a fire inspector, going and taking the training, taking the classes, becoming certified. And in the write-up submittal, Rodney used 11 of the 15 customer care standards, so he loaded it up. But the last paragraph kind of sums everything. I'm just going to read that to you. Inspector Ford consistently goes beyond what is required, demonstrating that customer service, is not a task, but a responsibility. His actions reflect remembering who we work for, the citizens of Nassau County, and his daily performance sets a standard that exceeds expectations. His professionalism, initiative, and genuine care for others make him a clear outlier among his peers and a highly deserving candidate for Employee of the Quarter. So, Thomas, congratulations. Thank you for all you do.
So I'll be very brief, but I owe my success to leadership. You know, they make sure that we have the tools and the training that we need to do what it is that we do. And I just really appreciate that. I appreciate the support of the board, county managers, and I think I'm going to tag all 3 of y'all for lunch, if that's all right. So that's it. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you. That will take us to tab C. Have to present the final adoption of the plan and approve the resolution accepting the Nassau County Adaption Plan conducted by HAF. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
KDP, Stormwater Director. So today before you, you'll have the vulnerability assessment update and the consent items. And then the adaptation plan after this presentation. So both documents make the county eligible for grant funding to help with flooding resiliency. So today we're fortunate to have Sean LaHave with HAF to walk you through our adaptation plan and answer any questions you may have.
Make sure this works. All right. Good morning, commissioners. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Sean LaHave, and I am HAF's resilience market leader. I'm based out of Jacksonville, but I've had the distinct privilege of working with Nassau County since about 2019, where I previously worked with the Northeast Florida Regional Council. It's been a really rewarding process to work with you all over the years, including Fernandina Beach as well. We started back in 2019 when I was at the Regional Council, focused on coastal management and statutory compliance with the resilience planning. But that has evolved considerably over the years, and Amelia Island Plantation is also looking at this. We completed a vulnerability assessment and adaptation plan for Fernandina Beach, recognized with multiple awards here locally. And now we're here to talk about the Nassau County Adaptation Plan, which I think will be a model for other communities across the state. So to give you some background, flooding is a concern across Nassau County. Like many other parts of Florida, every jurisdiction in Florida is vulnerable to flooding naturally. In 2021, the Resilient Florida program was established at the state level to prioritize investments across the entire state of Florida. As part of the Resilient Florida program, more than $1.8 billion has been invested by Tallahassee in implementation projects, but there's now minimum statutory requirements that local governments, including counties, are required to follow. Section 380.093 Florida statutes outlines those requirements, the first step being a vulnerability assessment. DRMP, a separate consulting team, was responsible for the vulnerability assessment update, and HAF was responsible for the adaptation plan, which is how do you address these vulnerabilities and prioritize projects. Additionally, there's the Florida Adaptation Planning Guidebook. This is a statewide resource that we have leveraged to conceptualize our thinking about adaptation planning and flooding here in Nassau County. What was interesting about this process, when we worked with Fernandina Beach, we were responsible both for the vulnerability assessment and adaptation plan, so it was one seamless process. This was a little bit different. There were multiple consultant teams involved, so this was all being done in harmony. The vulnerability assessment was being updated, and then we were prioritizing that plan. We did not want to reinvent the wheel here. We wanted to leverage existing work across the county, including vision planning, existing comprehensive plan updates, and then looking at your stormwater program and capital improvements program. One important reflection, the last time your stormwater master plan was updated was around 2012. A majority of those projects have been completed. So a critical next step as part of this process is to think about what additional projects can you fund and maybe get matched with the state through grant funding. So I don't think I need to spend too much time on this slide. You all know the county better than everyone else. But when we're looking at Nassau County, water is a challenge across the entire county. And when we look across the state of Florida, if you're looking at the Atlantic coastline, at the storm surge maps, it's sort of a pencil from Miami to Jacksonville. And then you get to Nassau County and you have these sprawling rivers, tributaries, all of these water bodies, the St. Mary's River. So it's not just a coastal concern. Water is something that affects both western and eastern Nassau County. And it's hidden in some ways because you might not know that water is there. So coastal communities, Barrier Island, looking at Amelia Island, there's clear vulnerabilities from storm surge and tidal flooding. But then looking at Yulee, Hilliard, Callahan, there's equally but pressing flood risks. So as part of the planning process, we actually started off in this exact room with a SWOT analysis workshop with different department directors and field staff to understand what are you already doing well and what opportunities are there for improvement. We really leveraged that staff input to inform the direction of this plan and the content of the recommendations. About halfway through the process, we facilitated a community workshop. This was a really successful effort primarily because of the partnerships that it achieved. So as part of the workshop, we brought in the Northeast Florida Regional Council who had a table, the St. Mary's Riverkeeper looking at cross-state coordination with Georgia, and then the North Florida Land Trust looking at conservation efforts. So each of those organizations had a table, explained the process to the public, and then we had an interactive exercise looking at strategies and allowing the public to comment on what they liked or did not like.
And we ran out of a certain color sticker, didn't we? Everyone
I was
wanted
not
one
there,
thing.
but I heard about
Okay.
that.
We did run out of a certain color sticker.
Yeah, and we had red stickers if you don't like it at all, orange if neutral, and green if you want to see it implemented. And then after an extensive research process, especially consulting with staff and department directors on what's feasible, what's practical, we developed 23 detailed strategies. I'll briefly kind of address the content of that, and more than 150 action items. So this is a long-range plan. There's some short-term wins that I think can be achieved here, but over time, this is really looking into the future. And then as part of a final effort, there's some technical appendices associated. Again, the vulnerability assessment was done by another firm, but we took that data early on in the process and evaluated 7 different critical assets, developed conceptual plans and engineering estimates. And then possibly the most important resource is a funding resources strategy matrix. This is an appendix that outlines every grant available at the state and federal levels to fund these projects. And of course, Katie was a pleasure to work with, and the actual ground truthing of our recommendations was essential to the final plan. So not too many more slides, but just want to go over sort of the philosophical approach here. As I mentioned, because of the geographic structure of Nassau County and how much water you have intersecting with local communities, we really needed to consider and adopt a multiple lines of defense process. So imagine Nassau County as a transect. You have the barrier island, you have tributaries, then you have western areas. There has to be different solutions for each of those areas, tailored to local conditions. So this is just one example of how solutions will vary based on the coastal environment, then moving more inland. And then, Thomas Creek property buyouts, relocation. There's so many different elements of what's at stake here. And then based on best practices in Florida, there are 4 primary adaptation strategies to consider for flooding. The first one is protection. That's trying to prevent water from coming in contact with an asset by putting up a hard physical barrier. This is an example of a temporary flood barrier that can be deployed before a storm event to protect a fire station, this building, for example. Avoidance strategies, looking at your existing conservation areas and preventing development in certain areas to produce flood mitigation benefits. Natural areas absorb water and protect assets. Then looking at accommodation strategies. So in the coastal environment, instead of considering a seawall, maybe a living shoreline or wetland, but then elevating houses. And you actually have a number of elevated homes here in Nassau County after we drove around. There's also a program now, Elevate Florida, that provides financial assistance for homeowners to elevate an existing home. And then, not very popular, and it's the measure of last resort, but managed relocation. There's some areas that you're not going to be able to protect because there's too much water. And so the idea is to implement a voluntary home buyout program, or in a crazy case like this, picking up a house or structure and moving it somewhere else. We've seen pretty crazy things done. So the final plan, it's a pretty extensive document. When you have a chance to review, there's 6 core sections, the executive summary explaining, the overall process. The plan background goes a little bit into the historical knowledge of recent storm events, results from the county staff SWOT analysis workshop. Adaptation tools explains all of the measures available to you all as you think through how to mitigate flooding. Public feedback, that's the feedback from the community meeting. And then the adaptation strategies, that's the most important section that goes into each of the recommendations. And this is just an example of what the report looks like. So a lot of different images to provide context and help educate the community about what's available. And a huge part of the process was at the end of the plan, we drove around every inch of Nassau County to collect photos to kind of inform these recommendations from an on-the-ground perspective, and that was a really helpful exercise. So looking at strategies, there's a lot of information here, and ultimately it's going to depend on what piques your interest and is most feasible. But building resilient infrastructure using natural-based approaches and hard infrastructure approaches, hardening public systems, so possibly road elevations, drainage improvements, and then looking at fire stations, healthcare facilities, and so forth. Protecting key structures. There are a number of structures located in flood-prone areas based on the vulnerability assessment. But I would say above all else, Nassau County is in a strong position to update policies and strengthen the policy framework guiding all of this. You all participate in FEMA's Community Rating System program, which provides flood insurance discounts if you achieve certain scoring, and this will absolutely help with that. And very briefly, this is an example of one of the strategies. So for each strategy, there are 2 pages. There's a brief policy statement explaining the goals of the county. None of this is binding. This is a plan, so it's supposed to provide a vision and a framework for considering these options. And then there's all of these different criteria. So what's the focus area? Is it focused on the coastal environment or western Nassau County? The types of assets that we're looking at, what types of strategies are we considering, relative cost and time frame, and then very importantly, who's the responsible lead within Nassau County to implement this, and what types of partners should be included in that conversation, including the Regional Council, the North Florida TPO, Army Corps of Engineers. It all depends on the strategy. And then the second page outlines the intended benefits of each strategy, and then about 6 to 7 action items to operationalize that strategy, complemented by some photos to explain what we're talking about. And then on the right, this is just one example of a conceptual plan that was developed after the vulnerability assessment, looking at a road and bridge replacement project. So with all of that said, we considered this a very successful planning process, primarily because of engagement with staff and the public. We work with many communities across the state where no one shows up to public meetings. Staff are, marginally engaged, but this is a completely different case study looking at Nassau County, and I think you all have a very strong framework in place. So looking forward, there's a number of next steps. Coordinating implementation is going to be the most important, understanding roles and responsibilities across departments, securing funding through the Resilient Florida program, FEMA, and other sources, and we're here to help you with that. Advancing key strategies. You're not going to be able to address everything, especially overnight, so trying to prioritize what makes the most sense, what matters most for right now. As I mentioned before, strengthening policies. This is where you have a significant opportunity, especially with the vision plan, comprehensive plan, all of these things intersecting at once. And then most importantly, make sure this plan doesn't sit on a shelf in the sense of tracking progress over time and testing what works or what doesn't work. And finally, expanding partnerships. Fernandina Beach has been very proactive in thinking through these challenges. They've also have been very strong to work with. And Callahan and Hilliard have their own funding for their own respective vulnerability assessments. So really looking at a county-wide approach, that's something that I think is rare and can be a model for other communities across Northeast Florida and other parts of the state. So I really appreciate the opportunity to have addressed you today. And again, thank you, Katie, for a phenomenal process over the past year and a half. And with that said, with the time remaining, any questions that you might have, more than happy to answer, but thank you again.
Yes, sir. Mr. Gray.
Thank you for the presentation. I found it very informative. If you don't mind, after the meeting, if you could hang around, I'd like to get some information from you on the Elevate Florida with a sidebar.
Absolutely.
If you don't mind. Thank you
Yeah, no
very
problem.
much.
And definitely, I want to thank Miss Katie, the whole crew. I went to the workshops and the meetings because I think, obviously, you hit the nail on the head when you said Nassau County. The coast looks fine, and then you get to Nassau County. We have such a unique water tributary system, and we're listening to our constituents and those concerns that they have, and this is how we address those concerns and working through this. So number one is I'm just so grateful for your team coming in and really giving us the tools we need to continue to empower our residents. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and I'll stick around.
Okay, thank you.
That will take us to the consent agenda. If any board member wishes to move a consent item to new business, please do so now. Does any member of the public want to speak on a consent item?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second? Oh, I'm sorry.
I believe tab C had a resolution. that they were wanting to consider for the adoption of the Nassau County Adoption Plan.
Correct, she's correct.
Okay.
So what we'll need is a vote
for
to
tab
approve
C.
the resolution for tab C before we move to consent. So if you
Thank you,
can,
Ms. May.
Move to approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Farmer to approve the resolution, second by Commissioner Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay.
thank you, Madam Chair.
That will now take us to the consent agenda. Mr. Martin?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Putman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. That will take us to new business. Any member of the public may address any item under new business at this time. The time limit is 3 minutes. Is there anyone who wishes to address any item under new business? No speaker cards? That will take us to tab P. Approve and authorize the chair to sign contract number CM 4128 with Wildlight LLC for the East Nassau Community Planning Area Mobility Improvement Reservation Agreement. Ms. Marshall, Mr. Ironman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With this item, as the title ensues, is the NCPA Mobility Fee Proposed Reservation Agreement. Through the projects within that mobility plan, we've laid out different roadways that are being constructed. This portion was constructed by a developer. They're seeking the reservation agreement to receive reimbursement for that improvement, and this will be funded out of the ENCPA mobility fees.
With that, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion if I could. Motion would be to approve tab P.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Gray, seconded by Commissioner Hutman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Ironman. Tab Q, consider reduction of code enforcement lead, code enforcement case number CE 22-6637, Jesse Ray Johnson, 44195 Flynn Road, Callahan, Florida, 32011.
Good morning, Board. Michael Pearson, Nassau County Code Enforcement Manager. Just a brief synopsis on the case. I'm presenting a lien reduction application for case number 22637, property address 44195 Flynn Road, Callahan, Florida. This property was originally signed on November 8th of 2021 for violating then ordinance 2015-10, section 601, subsection 3 and 8, general nuisances affecting public health. The property was fined by the then Code Enforcement Board on March 11, 2022 at $100 a day until compliance was met. The rolling fine accumulated until the new property owner, Mr. Jesse Johnson, complied with the violation on February 18th of 2026. The total fine amount, resulted in being $147,167.02. The case was presented to the Code Enforcement Special Magistrate, where the total fine was reduced by 35%, resulting in a total of $46,608.80. The property owner, Mr. Jesse Johnson, is currently present day and is asking for a further reduction upon the recommended amount by the special magistrate. He is here.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
So as he said before, whenever I took over this property, I had no idea that there was a code enforcement violation. I just found out about that in February, and within a week of finding out about it, I contacted the office and got that stopped, but it's still rather high, so I apologize for not knowing about it and doing something sooner. It wasn't me, it was the people that lived there previously that had these problems and issues. And upon moving to the property, I cleared up all of the trash and the broke down cars and everything, and the property has been nice since 2023, whenever I took over. Sorry, Jesse Johnson, 44195 Flynn Road, Callahan, Florida, 32011.
For the record, I would like to state that Mr. Johnson has been extremely in contact with us the entire time since he's came aware of the violation affecting the property. He immediately complied the violation. He had a roll-off dumpster brought to the property where he immediately got rid of all the trash. He communicated with me directly. We were there the day he complied it. We stopped the fine. So just want to put that out there that he was very responsive once he was aware of the violation, the amount that it had accrued to.
Madam
Mr.
Chair,
Gray. Okay,
Can I ask you a question, please, sir, on the record? I looked through the packet. It looks like you acquired this through a quitclaim deed. Is that correct and true statement? that
Yes,
you-
sir.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair?
Mr. Martin.
Yeah, through the chair. So, code enforcement manager, how long did it take Mr. Jackson to bring the property into compliance from the time that he took over ownership of the property?
I don't have the date in front of me as to when he took ownership of the parcel, but I do know when he was aware of his intent to sell it is when he became aware of the violation, and that's when he immediately contacted our department in, I would say, late January, and by, like I had stated previously, he had complied by mid-February. So within a month of finding out this violation existed, he complied it after it being active for, I think, approximately 1,500 days.
Mike, okay, so, sir, when did you purchase the property?
2023.
So it's been out of compliance for three years, from the time of he became the owner of the property. This isn't, what I'm trying to get at is, because we typically cut new owners some slack on this, when somebody buys a piece of property and unbeknownst to them, which it shouldn't be unbeknownst to them, because they should do the research to find out if there's a lien on the property because of code enforcement, and they bring it into compliance quickly, okay? But that's not necessarily the case here. What you're saying is two different things. It's not from the time he took ownership of the property, which means he had responsibility for this now, and continued to have daily fines accumulate while he was the owner, okay? You're saying is when he became aware of the violation. So what do you think is the reason there's this gap in becoming the owner and becoming aware? Was he?
I took over the property with a quitclaim deed in 2023. The previous owners did not tell me about the violations that had occurred, and because it was a quitclaim deed and I had no knowledge of the code enforcement, I did not hire a title company to research, and then I recently hired a title company in February, and they immediately told me about these violations, and I contacted the office within 2 or 3 days of finding out.
I guess what I'm getting at is where was there a glitch in the system to where he took ownership of this property in 2023, and then in no way, shape, or form was the county making him aware of these increasing daily
No, great
fines?
question, Commissioner, and I'm happy to answer it. There is, on both parts, a side of due diligence, both on the purchaser of the property and on the county, especially code enforcement. I can't speak on behalf of what has been done in practice by this department, but I can tell you that we have initiated rolling fine inspections where we visit properties once a fine has been placed upon them, where we conduct regular inspections, and we go above and beyond to notify the then owner, new owner, the bank if it's foreclosed, the violations in question. So unfortunately, when Mr. Johnson took over this property, like I stated earlier, there's just a lack of due diligence, unfortunately. So that's where we find ourselves now. That's when we informed of the reduced application process, and that's where we're at currently.
So would it be, and I'm not trying to beat you up on this, because I know this is way before your time of even working for us, but what can we, because this isn't a unique situation where people buy properties, and they're not aware of the lien on the property until much later on. So as a sidebar, I would recommend you come up with some kind of a process and vet it through the county manager and the county attorney, so that we don't have folks that find themselves in this situation going forward where they're trying to do the right thing, but the system hasn't helped them do that. Because I'm assuming that had you known about this back in 2023, it would have gotten taken care of then, and your neighbors would have been much happier about that also.
Yes, sir, immediately.
Okay, that's all I have.
Madam Chair.
Mr.
Oh, sorry,
Hutman.
Mr. Gray, were you going to say something?
No, sir, I was looking at this deferring to Chair.
Go ahead, Mr.
Farmer?
Hutman.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm prepared to make a motion whenever you guys get
I was
ready.
going to go, I'll let you do it, Mr. Farmer, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna make a motion that, based on what I see here in the packet, the applicant has requested this, reduced lien amount to $1471.67, and my motion would be to,
accept that reduced lien amount and move forward.
Second. Motion made by Commissioner Farmer, seconded by Commissioner Hupman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Board.
That will take us to tab R. Based on the bond referendum and debt management policy, approve a resolution supplementing resolution number 2023-124 of the county authorizing the issuance of not exceeding $11 million in an aggregate principal amount of general obligation bonds, Series 2026, in order to finance the cost of the acquisition and preservation of conservation lands and related costs. Mr. Ironman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So in 2022, the voters approved a referendum for the acquisition or the issuance of general obligation bonds for the acquisition of lands to protect water quality, wildlife habitats, and rivers, as was stated in the ballot language. Through our formation of the CLAM, we've been reviewing properties, ranking them. We've been acquiring a couple properties to date. We essentially are at that next step where it's the time to issue the general obligation bonds. This package lays out all of that process through preliminary official statements and other items. When we approach this, what we were looking at is the referendum language allowed up to $30 million in bonds. What we are looking at today is this approval is not to exceed 11 million. What our plan is we're going to market with, we're seeking $10 million in project funds. So we will be below that $11 million. The document also lays out that it's a not to exceed 5%. My understanding is the market right now is sitting between 3.5%, 3.6%. That obviously changes daily, ongoing, and so we'll see when we actually price the bonds. I think June 9th was the day that we're pricing them. We'll lock in that rate. And basically with this first structure, it'll be that the project funds, we're looking for a term on the bond issuance of 15 years. There will be a call provision that we can't call the bonds before 5 years, but we can pay them off in advance any point after that. Just so you know, from the funding standpoint, what this bond or what this board has done on an annual basis, it's set forth the 0.4 mils for conservation CLAM at 0.14 mils. That 0.14 mils generates about $2.4 million annually. The estimated debt service for this is about $900,000. That will come out of that annual allocation that we currently have in place. And that will provide us to move forward. From the bond proceeds then, as Dr. Clem and his team have been working on setting up new properties in that pipeline, we will then have funding in hand to move forward as those property owners are ready and willing. Randy and Dr. Clem are here if there's any questions on the CLAM program and how this will be spent.
Madam Chair, I talked with Marshall, I'm Assistant County Manager, Mr. Ironman, yesterday extensively about this. And what I do like about this is that park hall, after 5 years, you can pay it off without a penalty. And in the past, Nassau County took out, issuance of bonds with penalties. This has no penalty on it, even though it's a 15-year bond. Yeah, so I'm in favor of this. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Foreman, yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to go on the record as saying that, this has been a big deal to me from the very beginning, and I'm extremely in favor of anything that promotes conservation and protects our wildlife, water quality, and rivers. So I'm in favor of this.
Madam Chair, I move to approve tab R.
Second, Chair.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Gray. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Thank you. And that'll take us to tab S. Adopt a resolution setting a public hearing for June 22nd, 2026 to consider the application for the abandonment of the Police Lodge Road in Yulee, filed by Three Rivers Developers LLC and Joe Cornelson, the agent.
Yes, ma'am, through the chair. So as part of the process for considering an abandonment, the board takes a preliminary step in setting the meeting. So this is the action to set the meeting, and then staff will present the abandonment at that meeting.
Madam Chair.
Sure.
I saw Mr. Martin checking his calendar.
I'm good.
Okay, yes, sir. Okay, go ahead,
Defer to
Mr.
Hub.
Hutman.
Okay, Madam Chair, I make a motion to set the public hearing for June 22nd
Madam
on
Chair,
the
I second.
abandonment of Police Lodge Road.
Motion made by Commissioner Hutman, second by Commissioner Gray. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Tab T, discuss and appoint a representative to the North Florida Economic Development Board.
Yes, ma'am, through the chair. You are a member of this organization, and it necessitates a board member, a board seat, and it is required to be an elected official. It doesn't have to be a board or county commissioner member, but it needs to be an elected official from Nassau County. And so it's at your pleasure as who your representative is going to be.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Hutman?
I would be interested in this service on the North Florida Economic Development Board if you're looking for an elected official.
Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Commissioner Hutman.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Farmer to elect Mr. Hutman to represent the North Florida Economic Development Board, Nassau County seat, seconded by Commissioner Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you for your willingness to
Thank you,
serve.
Mr. Hutman.
Yeah,
Thank you,
this
sir.
is actually exciting to step over into the economics.
Awesome, thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Hutman.
ma'am. Yep.
Tab U, consider resolution establishing a fact-finding committee for information gathering and reporting on data center development.
Yes, ma'am. Through the chair, as we all know, both in the media and in discussions here, that data center development is a topic on everyone's mind. What staff is requesting is that if the board is amenable to establish a fact-finding committee, similar to what we did with beach regulations 5 or 6 years ago. We'll hold a series of public gatherings, public meetings, we'll take public comment, testimony, and then all of that material will be consolidated and presented to the Board of County Commissioners in a succinct fashion for you all to then hold whatever workshops, public hearings that you'd like to have on the matter. But this allows staff to really dedicate the time out in the public and with experts in the field to really pull together the information that's necessary for you all to make an educated decision.
Madam Chair, I move to approve tab U.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Farmer. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Tab V, set a Board of County Commissioners workshop on June 22nd at 9 a.m. to discuss the 2026-2027 fiscal year budget.
Madam Chair, I move to approve tab V.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Farmer. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. That will take us to general public comment. Comments can only be for one item under the Board of the County Commissioners. Time limit is 3 minutes, and I have no cards. That will take us to county manager's business.
No additional business this morning, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pope. That'll take us to our county attorney's business.
I have no further business. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. County Commissioner business. Mr. Martin.
I have nothing at this time.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hutman.
Nothing, ma'am. Thank you for the
Thank
opportunity.
you. Okay, Mr. Farmer.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This past Friday, attended the Miracle on Ashley Street downtown. It's an event every year that's put on by the Clara White Mission. Serve on a couple different boards with some city council members. Got to be there with council member Jacoby Pittman and Ken Amaro, many others. There were some TV personalities there, Bruce Hamilton, Richard Nunn, to name a few. It was a great event. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to give back to the region, and sorry that I missed the opening of the beaches event on Saturday. I saw that it was a very successful, well-attended event. Had a conflict and wasn't able to come, but I saw that it looked like it was a very, very good time as usual. Weather looked like it was nice. Also wanted to go on the record as saying thank you to everyone in our staff that tirelessly answers their phone after hours. We had some issues Friday after 5 this last week. Picked up the phone, called Taco as usual. He got engaged, got involved, sent out a few emails. We made a few phone calls, and we resolved the issue within just a matter of moments. And that doesn't just go for one particular department, but this particular department was Animal Services, and then we had a road and bridge call right following that. So just wanted to thank them for always being responsive for our needs of the taxpayer. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gray?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tuesday, May 12th, myself along with Commissioner Huffman attended the Take Stock in Children's graduation induction ceremony at Yulee High School. We try to make it every year. Great meeting, all the students and the mentors. I want to thank all the mentors for what they do in their volunteer work here. It's a wonderful program we have here in Nassau County, and that's all I have.
I do. I'm actually, I won one of, at the banquet, they always do a big fundraiser.
Yeah, the gala, yeah.
Yes, at the gala, and so I'm actually gonna cash in on one of the things that I won. I'm gonna go away for a couple days right here to the Omni, and Brandy knows that. I told her that discussion. I was like, oops, I won the bid. I got a little happy. So it's always, I love to mentor and support those students, but on top of that note, they are always looking for mentors for our program and for student applications. Our applications were down this year, so it's all about educating and informing the public. Over the last 4 years, I will tell you, I have eaten a lot of humble pie. Ooh, that's been about my favorite dessert dish on this dais. And so public service has a way of teaching you that leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about listening, learning, carrying Nassau County the weight of an entire community. And I realized that it's bigger than Nassau County. And so I know what preserving Florida makes special is partnerships, policy, publicly working together. And I'm always thinking, and I know this board as a whole is collaborative. I'm thankful for our county staff who are always going bigger. Today we brought in for larger flood resiliency plan. And so over the last 2 years, I really tried to engage at a much higher state level and really tried to work with policymakers. And I ended up in January with working with North Florida Land Trust on a bigger idea for Leadership Florida, how to engage with the policymakers and partnerships who are from Tallahassee. And so I did apply to the Leadership Florida program, and I'm excited because our congressman, I got support in North Florida Land Trust, but the congressman wrote a letter on my behalf to the board, and it says, I'm pleased to offer my strong support for Nassau County Commissioner Allison McCullough as she applies to the Leadership Florida program. Commissioner McCullough exemplifies the kind of principled, community-focused leadership that this program seeks to cultivate across our state. In her service as a Nassau County Commissioner, she has demonstrated sound judgment, a collaborative approach to governance, and a deep commitment to the people of Northeast Florida. Her background in education, combined with her work in agricultural and community development, provides a well-rounded perspective on the challenges facing rural and growing communities. She approaches those challenges with thoughtful and eye towards practical, long-term solutions. Commissioner McCullough leads with integrity and purpose. She listens carefully, engages stakeholders across sectors, and consistently works to bring people together in service for the greater good. These qualities, along with her dedication to public service, make her a valuable contributor to Leadership Florida class and a stronger leader for our state in the years ahead. I recommend Allison McCullough without reservation, and I'm confident she will benefit from the meaningful contributions to the Leadership Florida experience, and that is signed from our Congressman Aaron Bean. And so the committee did meet. We have our final, I went through the last round of interviews, and I will know for certain June 14th if I will be representing Nassau County in Leadership Florida. So I just want to thank everybody, because truly this is a team effort, and it's an honor to serve and continue to grow in bigger ways. So thank you so much, and with that, I will end the meeting.